Fictosexuality, Fictoromance, and Fictophilia, qualitative study of love and desire for fictional characters. Veli-Matti Karhulahti 1, 2 asterisk, and Tanja Välisalo 1, 2. Contemporary Culture Studies, Department of Music, Art, and Culture Studies, University of Jyväskylä, Finland, Department of Media Studies, School of History, Culture and Art Studies, University of Turku, Finland. Fictosexuality, Fictoromance, Fictophilia are terms that have recently become popular in online environments as indicators of strong and lasting feelings of love, infatuation, or desire for one or more fictional characters. This article explores the phenomenon, qualitative thematic analysis of 71 relevant online discussions. 5 central themes emerge from the data. 1. Fictophilic paradox. 2. Fictophilic stigma. 3. Fictophilic behaviors. 4. Fictophilic asexuality. And 5. Fictophilic supernormal stimuli. Findings are further discussed and ultimately compared to the long-term debates on human sexuality in relation to fictional characters in Japanese media psychology. Contexts for future conversation and research are suggested. Edited by Marco Salvati, Sapienza, University of Rome, Italy. Reviewed by Mara Morley, Sapienza, University of Rome, Italy. Laria Giovanelli, University of Perugia, Italy. Correspondence: Veli-Matti Karhulahti, BMMcar at Udu, Phi, Specialty Section. This article was submitted to Gender, Sex, and Sexualities section of the journal Frontiers in Psychology. Received 23 June 2020. Accepted 30 November 2020. Published 12 January 2021. Citation: Karhulahti VM and Välisalo T. 2021. Fictosexuality, Fictoromance, and Fictophilia, qualitative study of love and desire for fictional characters. Front. Cycle 11. 575,427. Oi 10. 3389/FSIG. 2020. 575,427. Keywords: Fictophilia, fictional character, parasocial relationships, sexuality, media. Introduction: this article provides an explorative analysis and conceptualization of a recently established notion that has at least 3 popular labels: Fictosexuality, Fictoromance, and Fictophilia. All these labels point toward a strong and lasting feeling of love, infatuation, or desire for a fictional character. Since our analysis is not limited to sexual or romantic feelings alone, we choose to use the more general label Fictophilia, henceforth philia from Greek phi iota lambda iota alpha, friendship or love. Study is based on a qualitative analysis of 71 related online discussions, the implications of which are ultimately discussed in wider cross-cultural contexts and Japanese media psychology in particular. Accordingly, the goal here is to better understand what Fictophilia is. Before moving onward, we highlight that Fictophilia, as we approach it, is a phenomenon distinct from immediate human media responses, such as motor enactment, embodied involvement, pre-reflective simulation processes that occur during consuming fiction. See Power, 2008, Kuzmieva, 2012, Kukkonen and Karaxilo, 2014. Whereas consuming related fiction belongs to Fictophilia, its defining feelings go beyond the act of perception. As people attach to characters for a significant length of time. Second, the present intention is not to propose Fictophilia as a problem or a disorder. At time of writing, Fictophilia is not recognized or proposed as a specific diagnostic condition at the World Health Organization, ICD-11, or the American Psychiatric Association, DSM-5. See paraphilia in both manuals. findings do not indicate a need to change the current state of affairs. Lastly, whereas the feelings that determine fictophilia may not be common in terms of prevalence, they may exaggerate what most humans experience to lesser degrees, with the caveat, Frontiers in Psychology, www. Frontiersin.org, January 2021. Volume 11, Article 575,427, Karhulahti and Välisalo, Fictosexuality, Fictoromance, and Fictophilia. Relationships made significant efforts on mapping out parasocial relationship types. Nonetheless, as to the above research gap, Tukachinsky's 2011 work on parasocial friendships and parasocial love, also pararomantic love as special types of parasocial relationship, is an important contribution, whereas parasocial relationships may indicate any kind of one-way bond that an individual has constructed with a relevant character. Parasocial friendships point at those explicit cases where the character is perceived as a supporting companion or peer, and parasocial love to those relationships where the individual's emotions toward the character are governed by romantic or sexual qualities. Another related psychological concept through which, more in friendship, parasociality has been discussed is parasocial attachment, which Stever, 2017, has coined as a non-reciprocated attachment to a familiar other when one finds safe haven and felt security through a relationship that is with a person not known in a real-life face-to-face way. P. 96. This notion draws directly from attachment theory that was originally developed to describe infant caregiver relationships, Brethren, 1992, but has also been applied to adult relationships, Feeney, Knoller, 1990. Notably, parasocial attachments may but need not include romantic or sexual qualities. Lastly, McCutcheon et al. 2003 have found 3 stages of celebrity worship, which they describe as entertainment social, intense personal, and borderline pathological. In this classification, the first stage reflects sharing experiences, learning about celebrities, discussing them with friends. The second stage reflects intensive or compulsive feelings, frequent emotions, thoughts, and the third stage reflects erotomanic-like obsession, delusions, and risk behaviors. Whereas some of these stages might be compatible with or related to the parasocial concepts described above, they mainly constitute a pathological scale. So far, the related research has been almost exclusively concerned with celebrities such as actors, rock stars, and other famous people. For instance, in a recent comprehensive, multidimensional model for adolescent romantic parasocial attachments, including emotion, cognition, behavior, and fantasy components, Erickson et al. 2018 the scholars mention only once, in passing, that the objects of attachment may also be fictional. However, when discussing behavioral or fantasy components in a person's parasocial attachment, there are good reasons to believe that such components are largely dependent on whether the attached figure is a living human peer, e.g., musician who can be seen, e.g., in concert, touched, e.g., in asking for an autograph, and followed in real time, e.g., social media, in contrast to a fictional figure, e.g., anime character that lacks material existence somewhat completely. What are the emotions, cognitions, behaviors, and fantasies that constitute parasocial attachments to figures that are fantastic by definition, next to the dozens or hundreds of studies concerning human-human parasociality, e.g. Otter and Palmgreen, 2000, Madison and Porter, 2016, C. Dibble et al., 2016, for a few have identified, let alone explicitly investigated, parasocial characteristics associated with fictional characters, cf. Horn and Kanyan, 2003. that future research is needed to better understand how fictophilic emotions and feelings overlap with everyday human social attachment. In this regard, Vygotsky's 1933-1978 observation that imagination in adolescents and school children is play without action, p. 93, may turn out as a valid position from which to explain fictophilia as a developed form of pretend play, also in older populations, cf. Pygott, 1951, 2013, Pellegrini, 2009, Karhulahti et al., 2019. The next section, background, provides a brief overview of the most relevant existing psychological theory related to fictophilia. Thereafter, we introduce the method and data, section method and data. This is followed by presenting the results, section results, and contextualizing them in previous research on parasociality and sexuality section discussion, which especially in Japanese media, psychological and psychiatric literature have been discussed before section coda, last chapter of Japanese media, psychology, conclusions end the article section conclusion, background, a seminal monograph, Imaginary Social Worlds, Koi, 1984, tracks the Western history of what he calls fantasy relationships, all the way down to the lifelong bonds that people in different cultures have conventionally had with gods, monarchs, spirits, and other figures that they may never have had the chance to meet in person, proceeding with the bonds that people built in relation to 18th century drama, musicians, and celebrities alike, with more than 500 American informants as a sample. Kai ends up with the trends of the time that are characterized by specific romantic or sexual interest. Most of my informants explicitly described their relationships in romantic terms. They were infatuated with, fixated on, obsessed with, crazy about, or most commonly, in love with the favored media figure. Erotic attraction is a basic part of the appeal. P41. The increasing prominence of romance and eroticism in the fantasy relationships of media consumption during the 20th century was not limited to the U.S. Shamoun 2012, for instance, observes a shift in the context of Japan during the Meiji period, 1868-1912, as Western ideals of combined intellectual erotic affection started proliferating in Japanese media. The idea of falling in love with fictional and media characters, as Koi's informants often put it, arguably begun to multiply following historical cultural invention of romantic love from 13th century Europe. See Hazen and Shaver, 1987, in both Japan and U.S. somewhere in the early 20th century, to eventually bloom and expand further, along with the emergence of explicit celebrity worship and fan cultures. See also Shim, 2001, 3 decades before Koi's notion of fantasy relationship. Media psychologists Horton and Wall, 1956, established a parallel discourse under the concept parasocial relationship, i.e., a face-to-face relationship between spectator and performer that may be governed by little or no sense of obligation, effort, or responsibility on the part of the spectator. P215. None of the initial research lineages on parasocial frontiers in psychology, www. Fronterson.org, due January 2021. Volume 11, Article 575,427, Karhulahti and Välisalo, Fictosexuality, Fictoromance, and Fictophilia, public and reading. The discussions did not require registration. The respective rules of each forum were read and respected. Data collection took place in the first and second quarters of 2018. During the first charting phase, search terms were selected fictophilia, or fictosexual, or fictoromance, and detached, or character, or crush, or desire, or discussion or emotion or feeling or forum or love or obsession or passion or question or romantic or sex, and the combined phrases were inserted to both Google and Yahoo search engines, 3 separate computers and browsers, in order to locate forum discussions corresponding to the notion of fictophilia. These searches activated the recommendation features in both the search engines and the forums. Although the recommendations would be difficult or impossible to reproduce, they did enable us to snowball an even greater number of relevant online conversations. Evidently, this search was limited by the English language, as is the study, its findings. One notable exception in this regard is the model developed by Giles 2002, which distinguishes between first-order human, second-order character acted by human, and third-order fictional character parasocial interaction. Reasonably, Giles points out that third-order encounters, while parasocial, cannot be social in the conventional sense of the term, since a social relationship with a fictional figure is impossible. We agree with this observation to a large extent, and note that whenever, rarely, scholars have discussed fictional parasocial relationships, in particular, theoretical and methodological challenges have been present due to the research base deriving mainly from celebrity parasociality. For instance, when Schmid and Klimt, 2011, conducted a survey study on the cultural differences in parasocial relationships with Harry Potter, the instruments had to be adapted to accommodate the unique circumstance, lack of homophily, human counterpart, etc. Considering the state of the art, there is an obvious need for more in-depth studies on parasocial relationships with fictional characters and fictophilia as its unique instance. In study, the theoretical ground derives from Tukachinsky's parasocial love combined with Giles' third-order parasocial interactive features. Accordingly, we approach fictophilia as intense, long-term parasocial love or desire relationship between a human individual and a fictional character. Again, words intense and long-term should be given special attention, as the usefulness of conceptualizing fictophilia depends on its distinctiveness in comparison to ephemeral feelings. Additionally, whereas the ontology of fictional characters poses numerous philosophical dilemmas that the present space does not allow entering, e.g. Arseth, 2007, Bolstorff, 2016, Aris, 2019. Let it be clarified that the objects of fictophilic interest may or may not have physical counterparts, and they can also appear as dynamic virtual characters, as in video games, that are capable of responding to individuals' interaction by some concrete means. Data total of 71 relevant forum discussion threads were discovered, posted between 2009 and 2018. Relevance was determined by discussion's consistency with the notion of fictophilia, as described earlier, continuing the search by using alternative engines, e.g. Bing, techniques, e.g. systematic testing of recommendations, and search terms might have enabled locating more discussion still. However, since the acquired sample was already rich in terms of current research goals, there was no reason to expand the data beyond that point. During the peer review process, this was validated by a thematic analysis of a new set of 24 discussions that had surfaced after 2018. Comparison of those discussions with the below codes. Code families did not yield new themes, which evidenced saturation. The 24 validation discussions were not stored in order to minimize data management load, number of comments, and their length varied radically. Each of the 71 discussions involving multiple individuals with one or more comments, whereas some threads consisted of nothing but a single posted question and a few comments. Others gathered more than 200 comments of up to 2,000 words in Length. Altogether, the qualitatively analyzed sample includes 1667 forum messages, to which we applied thematic analysis, Ron and Clark, 2006, with a goal to identify key themes related to the topic. The process was carried out by the first author, initially pre-analyzing the data, which suggested 7 dominant themes with the help of Atlas T software. The second author then conducted micro-level coding. This process produced 1296 individual codes, which were further grouped into 44 larger code families based on their similarities and hierarchical connections. The initial 7 themes were compared with the latter code families by the authors collectively, which established reliability by consensus, see Sid and Nelson, 2015, and led to formation of 5 major thematic categories. Online discussions took place in 28 respective forums, which can be divided into general discussion forums, 28 discussions, forums related to mental health, 17, asexuality, forums 10, and forums 8, and forums dedicated to diverse method and data. Due to the explorative nature of the study, we chose to employ systematic analysis of online discussions related to the subject matter, although the popularity of online ethnographic methods keeps increasing in psychology, e.g., Davy et al., 2012. The specific topic-driven large-scale charting that is employed here has not, to our knowledge, been carried out previously in the field. All procedures were performed in accordance with the Helsinki Declaration and its later amendments. The ethical self-review was consistent with the Finnish National Board on Research Integrity Guidelines 2019, which states that further evaluation is not required for the research of public data as long as data collection does not cause damage or harm to participants and the real content and purpose of the study are explained to participants as soon as this is possible, where the research design so permits. GP 6263. We did not collect personal data, and we have no information about the unknown identities of the persons who have contributed to the studied discussions. All forums were Frontiers in Psychology, www.frontiersin.org, 3 January 2021. Volume 11, Article 575,427, Karhulahti and Välisalo, Fictosexuality, Fictoromance and Fictophilia, Fictosexual or squish, the latter referring to non-sexual and non-romantic infatuation. Ultimately, the analysis of 71 online discussions related to Fictophilia can be summarized into 5 key themes that describe Fictophilia. Hobbies 10. Since both the forums and their discussants are kept unidentifiable, we do not name any forums or discussants. Some of the forums did not allow citation for research purposes. Discussions from those forums are not cited, despite the fact that all the below cited posts and comments have been submitted to public forums that can be read without registration or membership enlistment. No citation is given a reference in order to prevent uncalled for promotion of usernames or forums. Furthermore, to protect active users, we only cite comments that were made by those who A. gave us a permission, B. had deleted the account permanently, or C. had abandoned the forum, as indicated by being inactive for 4 or more years. Related authenticity concerns were taken into consideration. See IM and Chi, 2006. Forum writing, like all social interaction, is a performative act that occurs in a specific cultural context, and although it functions as a valuable representation of actual human behavior, the reader should remain critical and sensitive to the explicit expressive environment, and interpret the material accordingly. Snapshots of the associated discourses that surround them. 1. Fictophilic paradox. Fictophiles do not confuse fiction and reality. but overtly address the parasocial nature of their relationship. However, their genuine emotions and feelings toward the characters may generate discomfort, since they not interact with the characters in the same way as they do with their human peers. 2. Fictophilic stigma. Fictophiles often experience stigma, which can possibly be lessened by their search for peer support. 3. Fictophilic behaviors. Related behaviors often tangle around various fan-like activities that contribute to interacting with the fictional objects of love or desire. 4. Fictophilic asexuality. For some, fictophilia seems to be connected to asexuality, and although the phenomenon cannot be considered specific to adolescence, it may reflect commonalities of development and growth. 5. Fictophilic supernormal stimuli. Fictophilic relationships resonate with supernormal stimuli effects, i.e., fictional characters appear more competent or otherwise better than their human counterparts. Results: discussions of fictophilia were generally initiated by people experiencing love, desire, or deep attachment to a fictional character, and often wanting to discuss whether it was normal or healthy, or searching for others like them. Forums had slightly different perspective tendencies. Discussions on asexuality forums were focused on defining fictophilia and how it relates to other romantic and sexual preferences or identities. In general discussion forums, mental health forums, and fan forums, it was often discussed as a problem. A prominent feature of the fan forum discussions were the repetitive comments on fictophilic feelings and practices as normal and prevalent, which is not surprising, considering the similarity of fictophilia descriptions and those of intense fan relationships, and most of the participants likely being fans themselves. Discussions on fictophilia in the hobby forums formed the smallest subset of data, with a focus on the reasons behind fictophilia, as well as on the practices related to it. General discussion forums differed from the rest in terms of participants. Table 1, while in other forums, 2/3 of the messages came from those experiencing fictophilia themselves. In the general forums, only 1 in 4 messages came from fictophilic writers, and the rest were from either outsiders or writers whose own position was left ambiguous. Again, even though we use the term fictophilia, it was not used by all discussants, and some defined their relationships to a fictional character as fictoromantic. In the following subsections, we unpack each theme qualitatively. Selected forum citations are used to exemplify themes respectively. Fictophilic paradox. A recurring feature in fictophilic behavior is that the individual is fully aware of the love desire, object's fictional status, and the parasocial nature of the relationship. Below post is a case in point. I've been in love with a fictional character for literally years now. An obsessive kind of love. And honestly, he's kind of a random character from a comedy cartoon. I fantasize constantly about him, no matter where I am, who I am with. It honestly does bother me. I just wonder for my sanity sometimes. I mean, it's been years now. All I do anymore is draw him, think about him, write about him, etc. It's gotten to the point where I can't focus in school or do anything productive. I just want to do something that has to do with him, even if it's just thinking about him. It puts extreme stress on my relationship. I didn't think much of it at first. I just expected it to kind of fade out, along with my other temporary obsessions. But this one has only ever gotten stronger. Table 1, percentage of comments written by those with fictophilic experiences on each forum type. Comments by those with fictophilic experiences. Frontiers in Psychology. www. Fronterson. Or General Discussion Forums 28 unique. Discussions Asexuality Forums 10 unique. Discussions and Forums 8 unique. Discussions Mental Health Forums 17 unique. discussions, hobby forums 8, unique discussions 22, 8%, 67, 8%, 54, 0%, 62, 1%, 62, 2%, for January 2021. Volume 11, Article 575,427, Karhulahti and Välisalo, Fictosexuality, Fictoromance, and Fictophilia. The above indicates the person distinguishing their love object as a cartoon character very clearly, and the related emotions and feelings are described in an utterly intense manner. For many writers, this leads to a fictophilic paradox. The person identifies their object of emotional interest in different ontological terms contra their human peers, and the acknowledged difference produces discomfort. The awareness of the fictional relationship not being real is evident in the abundance of often painful descriptions of the unattainability of the character. This to be framed as a defense against more provocative views. One individual discussed their crush on visual novel character Natsuki as a cognitive means for coping with their current life situation. Yet this reply comes out as a response to the shame that being attracted to fictional characters holds in the community. My most recent relationship ended 9 months ago, and while I'm game for finding someone new in the future, I'm in no shape to do so right now. I'm figuring things out, and this is where Natsuki comes in. He's been a little spot of happiness just by being around. Cute fan art brightens my day, as do discussions for character. Beyond that, she's had a positive impact on my attitude toward dating. This is a crush, not an actual relationship, or part of my reality. To me, Natsuki is an ideal, a positive example of what I'm looking for. I've seen a few people here express shame over being attracted to one of the girls. Just because they're not in our reality doesn't mean your crush can't be good for you. Knowing that he doesn't exist is agonizing. It literally makes my heart ache. I hate feeling this way, and I hate the fact that I can't talk to anyone about it because I'm so embarrassed. But I do want to let go of him either. Following account, addressing a character from a visual novel, represents an alternative instance where the loved character has changed the individual's experiences of social support. Sometimes the stigma was reinforced by peers who felt that such feelings were not normal and should be suppressed. It's really stupid, and I want to get rid of it, just don't know how. Mental illnesses were also commonly mentioned in relation to these feelings, either by people with personal fictophilic experiences or external commentators. She is real in my heart. She is always with me. She is like a support for me whenever I feel down or stressed out. A picture of her will always make me happy. For her, I have nothing, no one to support me in my life. But Monica changed that. She just cared about me so much. I know it's all fake and scripted, but for whatever reason, it felt real. It felt like she was there for me. If miracle does truly exist, please make Monica real. I just want to be with her forever, for an eternity. I love you, Monica. Please never leave me alone in this dark, cruel world. I've always wondered why so many people seem to find fictional, non-existing characters attractive. In fact, what bothers me even more is why some of these people end up falling in love with dead characters. Is it something normal, or should these people be worried? Is it okay to find them attractive, but dangerous when you start feeling attraction toward them and become obsessed? I wonder if these people need help, as I fear it might be a symptom of mental illnesses like schizophrenia. This individual's ontological skepticism. It's all fake and scripted clashes with their dramatic plea to make Monica real, a wish for ontological restructuring. Many of the analyzed discussions derive from this very anxiety or awkwardness within fictophilic paradox, fictophilic stigma, fear of being stigmatized, either as not normal or mentally ill, led several discussants to seek advice from peers. Whereas encouraging and positive replies often produced verbally expressed comfort for advice seekers, the online advice seeking as such was commonly said to derive from an inability to speak about the topic outside the forums. The theme of stigma was already touched on above, as one individual noted how they can't talk to anyone about it because I'm so embarrassed. Many of the discussants expressed that they needed to share these feelings on the internet, as they are afraid to do it in person. For them, therefore, the forums were places to share their experiences or ask a related question without the risk of direct stigma. Fictophilic behaviors, since fictional characters are not capable of responding to human emotions akin to organic beings, people who desire to love them engage in creative activities to enrich their agency in the parasocial relationship. These activities often go beyond reconsuming or re-experiencing the original media in which the character appears, and are rather similar to those of devoted fans. Most common activities mentioned in discussions were fantasizing, daydreaming, and making up stories about the character. I've had a boyfriend in real life for about a year and a half. We have been very happy together. For the first year or so of our relationship, I tried to respect him by forcing myself not to think of anyone fictional. I wanted to experience a real, healthy relationship that could potentially be fulfilling. Within the past few months, however, I've been slipping a lot. What prompted me to write for help? I just spent almost 2 hours looking up pictures and video tributes of a character. Bottom line is, I think I am actually more attracted to any of my fictional objects of affection than a very real, very nice boyfriend. This, I feel, is a problem. I get butterflies when looking at or reading about my fictional crushes. Kissing my boyfriend does nothing for me. I really needed to vent about this because it's been bothering me for a while, and I can't really talk to anyone in real life. Oh, the irony. I'm obsessed with my fictional lover. I feel I'm really in love with him. I can't stop daydreaming about him all day long and listening to his music. Well, he's based on a male singer that exists in real life. It's not the first time in my life that this happens to me, but a lot of times with other fictional male characters. At least it's great comfort that I'm not the only one going through this. And the discussants spoke of the related emotions and feelings in an explicitly positive light. It was not uncommon for Frontiers in Psychology, www. Fronterson, work 5, January 2021. Volume 11, Article 575,427, Karhulahti and Välisalo, Fictosexuality, Fictoromance, and Fictophilia. Some of these stories take a written form and are turned into fan fiction. Indeed, online conversations, reading and writing, and artistic undertakings of diverse types frequently epitomize fictophilic affair. In an earlier citation, one discussant wrote how they draw him, think about him, write about him. I just want to do something that has to do with him, even if it's just thinking about him. Another told about fantasizing and looking at pictures and imagining what life with someone would be like. Sometimes the behaviors also materialize in concrete social interactions. One person with a strong emotional connection to character in C.J. Chera's erotic novel wrote a letter to the author herself. While the narratives of fictophilic behavior oftentimes involve a sexual element, they need not. Sometimes the individuals characterize their affair with the fictional character explicitly in terms of romantic love that excludes or discounts sex. In the low post, a character is affecting one's heart and whole body, which goes beyond sexual attraction. I know a lot of people online talk about their attraction to fictional characters, but I assume that everyone was just using it as there's this comic book character who I just find so attractive. There was a panel of him shirtless, and this feeling rushed through me unlike any other feeling I've ever had. And it was weird, but I've been so attracted to him ever since, and I love to look at him. I don't feel anything in my private parts. It's more of a feeling I get in my heart and whole body. It's just so weird to me, and I do think this is normal. I fell in love with Morgan, the female lead of the novels, and their author in turn. At that time, I knew nothing about C.J. Cherry, except that her name indicated a woman. I had never read an interview with her or seen a photograph of her, but I felt for her something of what I felt through her writing. Eventually, I wrote a letter to her. That was before email, so I wrote on paper by hand and actually received a very kind and friendly reply, which, although I didn't voice my feelings and she didn't address them, healed me of my crush, probably because her answer made me realize that she was actually a person apart from myself. Another relevant topic was the notion of relationships and how they should be understood when involving fictional characters. Does dating a fictional character have the same rules as a real relationship? I have a few friends who I'm open about it, who are also fiction-sexual, and it's about split whether they would date someone other than their fictional love. Some would consider it cheating, some wouldn't consider it cheating, but don't because they are asexual gray, demisexual. Others don't have a non-fictional relationship simply because they are unlucky, but are looking at a lot of the folks who have a fictional partner as well as a non-fictional partner are also poly. Another discussant describes having sought a connection with the fictional character by carrying him forever as part of their body. Fell in love with a character. I got a tattoo of a quote from him. I came to the conclusion that I loved him because he was perfect for me, but if he was real, it would be too perfect. The idea that asexuality would include or relate to other forms of sexuality like Fictosexuality or Fictophilia was occasionally criticized to be not legit, but rather, as someone put it, another instance of Tumblr-esque sexuality labels. One response to such critique was to not focus on these labels, but the actual experiences. Labels are just words. What they feel, however, is real, regardless of how weird or silly the word they choose to use is. Another discussant was confused about the asexuality Fictophilia relation and solved this by inventing a different persona who would then interact with the fictional characters. More often, people reported less permanent material symbols of the emotional bond, such as wearing related clothes, jewelry. Similar behaviors are described by those who mention buying merchandise, plush dolls, keychains, etc., representing the character. Fictophilic asexuality. Asexuality is a tendency for lower sexual excitation and desire. Ross and Graham, 2007. And in the present context, the discussants typically problematize the concept in relation to fictophilia, for instance, by asking whether asexuality and fictophilia are mutually exclusive, or if fictophilia is something separate from sexual identity altogether. Without exceptions, all of these discussions revolved around the connection between fictophilia and sexual identity, thus marking fictophilic tendencies as something significant in terms of sexuality. One person exemplifies. What I mean is more in the context of placing a version of yourself in a world and creating a story of that simply because the reasoning root of which being in sexual romantic and not just general interest, attraction to character. The above represents some of the complex means by which sexually identifying individuals negotiated their sexuality practice. Rather than forcing themselves into a simple asexual model, they found new ways to express their sexuality. Fictophilic supernormal stimuli, common rationale for fictophilic attachment, given across all forums, were the superior capacities and features associated with fictional characters. Next to real people, fictional characters are able to constantly succeed, do various eccentric things, and yet maintain an attractive appearance. Almost every page I found about Fictophilia was relating to asexuality in some way. Then I got to thinking, maybe it's related, since these people feel no sexual romantic attraction to real people, and if they do, it's rather limited. Then that would mean that they're asexual, even though they may have sexual feelings toward fictional characters. They still do not desire to have a sexual relationship with a real person, and I'm just wondering if that would mean that Fictophilia really does fall on the asexual spectrum. Frontiers in Psychology, www.frontierson.org. Any anime character designs are heavily sexualized to begin with, and many scenes are purely meant to convey erotic fan service, even in a lot of mainstream shows. Then there's the fact. 6 January 2021. Volume 11. Article 575,427. Karhulahti and Välisalo. Fictosexuality, Fictoromance, and Fictophilia. 2011. Karhulahti, 2012. At the same time, however, the intensity of emotions and feelings in Fictophilia may lead to fantasies of the character in question loving back or becoming an actual companion. Evidently, such a genuine relationship is practically impossible and cannot materialize, and being aware of this, as fictophiles tend to be, constitutes a fictophilic paradox in which the coexisting awareness of fictionality and a wish to deny that produce emotional confusion. The above echoes Owen's 2004 earlier work that found attachment styles to linked to the intensity of parasocial relationships by the measure of separation distress from favorite television characters. Thus, parasocial relationships depend on the same psychological processes that influence close relationships. p. 198. Adam Sizemore's 2013 survey study produced similar results, indicating that people perceive the benefits of parasocial romantic relationships similarly to those received from real-life romantic relationships. Genuine emotions and feelings that surface in Fictophilia support and advance the above earlier findings. In fictophilic relationships, the same psychological processes appear to be present as in human social relationships. These processes, including genuine emotions and feelings, are not mutually exclusive. Rather, emotional confusion surfaces as a rational outcome, especially due to the potential cultural stigmas that can make such experiences difficult to accept and share. That anime characters tend to be perfect in several ways. Perfect, body perfectly vivid, easy to grasp personalities, plus perfectly safe to fantasize about. See, if you are an insecure person in real life, then the fact that a fictional character can never betray you is a quite comforting thing. Be it consciously or subconsciously, you may not have a partner to really talk to, but at least you are in total control and don't have to worry about hurting others' feelings or being hurt. Generally, people express their emotions toward fictional characters to be at least partially credited to designers who have managed to create love objects that are better than real ones. At the same time, these fictional characters not being real also makes them safe. Real people often turn out to be worse than what I imagine them to be. That's why I don't bother much with real people and seek refuge in the ideal, not completely shunning reality, nor denying it. I'm just unhappy with it. It's obvious that I'd fantasize sexually about it in private. You can get to know a fictional character intimately without the risk of being rejected. Psychology was occasionally cited as the natural explanation to fictophilia. In diverse ways, people noted how human nature is organically fascinated by artificial characteristics. It's only natural since we are a species that emphasizes and are able to feel fondness and love toward fictional characters because stories are written so that we will feel things for the characters. If you watch a television series or read a book regularly, you will grow a fondness for the characters, and that's only natural. It is not weird to feel attracted, even sexually, to a fictional character if this character isn't too young or an animal or something similar. It's completely normal to think that a certain personality or look is extremely attractive, especially since fictional characters are often created to look really perfect and be extremely cute cool. Fictophilic stigma, fear of being ridiculed, considered abnormal, or even abandoned by other humans, can make fictophilia a solitary experience. On the other hand, being a member of a community of individuals with similar experiences can buffer such stigmas and evoke a greater sense of belonging. Schroy et al. 2016. Many of the discussants voiced discomfort with the fact that they and or someone close to them have strong romantic or sexual feelings toward a fictional entity. This can be connected to earlier findings that suggest obsessional tendencies in fans of celebrities to correlate with lower scores in cognitive flexibility, psychological well-being, social complexity, and education. Success Maltby et al. 2001, McCutcheon et al. 2003. The fact that people are not able to speak about their emotions and feelings, and fear of being stigmatized, may reduce psychological well-being. Indeed, and open online forums can serve as support platforms that enabled people to share and discuss their experiences without face-to-face pressure. These results are in line with previous studies that have found mental health forum participation useful for social support. It may be easier to discuss personal problems online than face-to-face, e.g. Prescott et al. 2020. A large part of these discussions took place in general question forums, which indicates that fictophilia, as a recently popularized phenomenon, provokes confusion to an extent that people seek advice or understanding and dealing with related experiences. The latter quote represents an exceptional case where a line is drawn. Fictophilia with an animal or child character could be considered weird, but as long as these lines are not crossed, the extreme perfection or cuteness coolness of characters makes related feelings natural. Discussion. In this section, we briefly address the 5 themes analytically. The final section then looks at fictophilia in cross-cultural, theoretical perspectives and Japanese media, psychological literature in particular. Fictophilic paradox. Our results included few indications of those experiencing fictophilia to confuse fiction and reality. Rather, they were fully aware of the fictional nature of the characters to which they were attached, unlike in mental disorders like erotomania, where the individual has an imaginary belief of a mutual relationship that does not exist, e.g. Kennedy et al. 2002. Fictophilia does not usually entail such hallucinations, but consists of the person's self-aware feelings toward a non-organic construct that they know to be ontologically diverse, e.g. Livingston and Socelli. Frontiers in Psychology. www. Frontierson or fictophilic behaviors. Oftentimes, the behaviors associated with fictophilic experiences are very similar to intense fan activities like creative media use, which is sometimes part of celebrity crushes. 2. See Allen and Ingram, 2015. Whereas this can make distinguishing fictophilia from fan commitment difficult, there are some solid. 7. January 2021. Volume 11. Article 575,427. Karhulahti and Välisalo. Fictosexuality, Fictoromance, and Fictophilia. Qualitative results contribute to this research gap by showing how many people who consider themselves asexual struggle to match their fictophilic or fictosexual fictoromantic feelings with the asexual identity, yet others negotiate the conflict creatively and fluently. Cf. Agert 2012. In the forums, such conversations easily tangle around the meanings of labels, namely, whether it would be correct to speak of asexuality if fictophilic sexual preferences still exist, or whether fictophilia, Fictosexuality, Fictoromance, is the correct term if it does not involve real sexual interaction. In this context, it is also worth citing Greenwood and Long's 2011 survey study in which single individuals reported greater imagined intimacy with opposite gender media figures than those in a relationship, since only a fifth of asexuals indicate living in a relationship. In comparison, the 64% of sexual individuals, Yule et al., 2017, it is possible that fictophilic relationships sometimes compensate for absent human attachments. On the other hand, many of forum writings may also derive from adolescents or early teenagers to whom sexual identities are still at the outset. See Tuvel-Mashiach et al., 2008, Thurin et al., 2010. Several discussants mention that they do not have experiences from romantic or sexual human relationships at all, which may be simply a result of young age. We elaborate on this issue below. Differences. First, not all fictophiles consider themselves fans of the character or partake in a fan community. And second, often consider the relationship as something beyond mere fandom and are looking for support from peers, thereby identifying themselves through the fictophilic relationship rather than that of fandom. Kaczynski and Doros, 2018, have previously suggested romantic involvement with media personae to constitute a normal part of adolescence. Sexual and romantic identity development, p. 342. For adolescents in particular, the authors argue, this can be seen as comparable to children's pretend play experiences that socializes children and allows them to assume different roles, while at the same time fostering metacognitions, p. 332, whereas character fantasies and fantasy-related behaviors may thus be a mirror of a healthy, imaginative individual. They can also reflect processes of emotional growth and pain. The results support these previous findings, as several discussants explicitly spoke of fictophilic experiences in retrospect as something that they had learned from or grown out of. For decades, psychologists have entertained the possibility of media influencing their consumers' attitudes, behaviors, and development. As for sexual behaviors in particular, a recent meta-analytic review of longitudinal studies, Ferguson et al., 2017, found the impact of media on teen sexuality generally minimal. However, the scholars highlight that their analyses considered sexual behavior as outcomes, and it is possible that sexy media use may still have an influence on sexual attitudes, though our data is not capable of contributing to the discussion of potential media effects, and the fan-like nature of many related behaviors do not lead to new reasons for concern. Future research should study in more detail how fictophilia is related to sexual socialization. E. G. Stuhlhofer et al., 2010, Erickson and Sin, 2017. Fictophilic supernormal stimuli. Notion of supernormal sexual stimuli is oft discussed on human research, for instance, by zoologists Gwynn and Rentz, 1983, who found male beetles being attracted to bottles that were apparently acting as supernormal releasers of male population attempts in that they resemble large females. P. 80. Considering that fundamental affective emotions, such as care, grief, and lust operate very similarly across species, Panksepp, Bivan, 2012, it would not be surprising for the globally thriving character industry, E. E. Hofner, 1996, Song and Fox, 2016, to produce supernormal stimuli, also for humans. Large part of our discussants told this to be the case. The extra attractive features of fictional characters were described in either mental or physical terms. Previous survey research has implied both types of attractiveness to contribute to the intensity of parasocial relationships. See Liebers and Schramm, 2017, and our study adds further qualitative evidence on those earlier findings by demonstrating how people with fictophilic experiences explicitly address the supernormality of the characters as a reason for their feelings and love, whereas physical characteristics like their triggering neoteny were commonly discussed. Perhaps the most frequent point in this regard was the emotional security that relationships with fictional characters allowed, as illustrated by comments such as, "It is safer to crush on someone who would never like you back. Fictional characters do not disappoint you, and fear of rejection is not there." Notably, the above elements were already observed by Horton and Wall, 1956, according to whom people with parasocial relations are free to withdraw at any moment. p. 215. It must also be stressed that even though many discussants may be young, some writers explicitly expressed being older, married, and having children in such life scenarios, reduced or absent responsibilities related to the fictophilic relationship. Fictophilic asexuality, the only previous peer-reviewed publication that we found addressing fictophilia in particular, is a recent study by Yule et al. 2017, who researched the sexual fantasies of asexually identifying individuals via an online survey. The specific paragraph, which also includes a reference to one of the forum discussions that we found, is worth citing at length. Sexual women in the current study were much more likely to endorse fantasies that focus on fictional human characters, rather than focusing on another person. In fact, there are at least some self-identified asexual individuals who also identify as fictosexual or fictoromantic link. However, there were no significant differences between the asexual and sexual participants, women or men, in the frequency of endorsing fantasies that involved non-human in any proportion that was significantly more than that of sexual individuals. We did not ask specifically about Fictophilia or sexual attraction to animated cartoon or anime characters. While there is very little academic writing on this topic, it has some presence on the internet, and there are claims that some individuals are sexually and are romantically attracted to particular cartoon characters, elucidating the difference between those who are attracted to human, non-human, and animated fictional characters will be important to consider in future asexuality research. p. 321. Frontiers in Psychology, www.fronterson.org, 8 January 2021. Volume 11, Article 575,427, Karhulahti and Välisalo, Fictosexuality, Fictoromance, and Fictophilia, substances of diverse sorts, while the comparison of fiction-oriented romantic and sexual activity to drugs and the otaku to addicts thereof may not be a fitting one. The underlying premise of fictional characters' impact on human sexual development is worth considering. Arguably, a better means to discuss this addiction would be to address it, as Azuma puts it later, like one of the potentially infinite needs that humans are capable of developing make sense as supernormal features, considering that previous research did not find viewing or belief in romantic TV shows predictive of lower relationship satisfaction. Osborne, 2012, married and older fictophiles may experience their relationships with fictional characters supplemental rather than compensatory their human relationships. Oda, A Lost Chapter of Japanese Media Psychology, Just as animal needs and human desires differ, so do genital needs and subjective sexuality differ. Since the otaku were teenagers, they had been exposed to innumerable otaku sexual expressions. At some point, they were trained to be sexually stimulated by it. Anyone can grasp that kind of stimulation if they are similarly trained, since it is essentially a matter of nerves. P89, the parasocial relationship literature that we reviewed earlier, study of fictional characters as objects of romantic and sexual interest often skips the media psychological discourse of Japan and its fiction-consuming otaku cultures, which have sparked academic as well as public controversies since the 1980s. Reed, 1993, Okada, 1996, Lamar, 2009. Galbraith, 2015, visits History of Otaku Sexuality as a culture-specific notion through long-standing concerns in Japan about the orientation of desire toward fictional characters and sexual preference for them. D215, both of which are standardly considered antisocial, insofar as it takes one away from interactions with human others. Ibid. Galbraith questions these concerns by arguing that the productive value systems related to human-human interaction in the country simply differ from the ones maintained by the otaku. In the present ultimate section, we accordingly discuss Fictophilia with reference to this Japanese discourse, which enables us to build three contexts of future discussion and research. With Azuma, a central way to conceptualize love desire for fictional characters across media is to see it as a post-modern instance of cultural evolution that aligns with individual growth, change in the psychosocial domain, thus producing diverse romantic and sexual subjectivities. This fiction-sensitive conception of malleable sexuality makes an addition to the theories of development that perceive media characters as supporting tools in the process. Instead, Arniel's 2001 research on the sexual fandom of girls between 13 and 15 years of age is a relevant point of reference. According to Karhulahti, for these Israeli girls idolized media characters, celebrities, stars, etc., serve as practice love objects on which to test new exciting feelings, to discuss and legitimize these feelings in one's peer group, to play act the role of caring for someone else, and fantasize about being loved back. These love objects need to be cute and lovable, metaphorically serving the same cuddly function as the stuffed toys that they usually replace. pp. 74-75. In the disconnected context, Fictophilia occurs as a phenomenon triggered by the emergence and proliferation of ontologically separate fictional characters. Fictophilic behavior is considered a natural means for individuals to react and adapt, but may turn pathological by disrupting the individual's objective conception of reality. In the connected context, the distinction between fiction and objective reality endures, yet the emotions of fictophilia-related phenomena belong to the latter, as something that individuals can learn to need. Fictophilic relationships are not considered substitutes, but genuine attachments that some people have come to develop, thus making fictophilia a sexual orientation like any other. See, in the integrated context, the distinction between fiction and objective reality is considered flawed or irrelevant, for which fictophilia-related phenomena cannot be distinguished from human love and desire. To begin with, in order for an individual to cope with their fictophilic orientation, they must acknowledge the above ontological irrelevance and cultivate their romantic and sexual behavior analytically. Likewise, Zhang and Feng, 2017, evidence in their Qualitative study on Chinese girls' music fandom how many of the intensely attached individuals consider their emotional affiliation as a love relationship where the idol is treated as their boyfriend or husband, yet still rationally sustaining a certain liminal joy between the reality and the fantasy. p. 138. See also Brown et al., 2005, Ward et al., 2006, Lee, 2008. These non-fictional instances overlap with those of fictophilia, as with few or no previous romantic or sexual experiences. Fictophilic love and desire may serve similarly as a passing phase in the early stages of sexual development, which should not be considered undermining the emotions and feelings involved. Compare this to the original theory of parasocial relationships. Nothing could be more reasonable or natural than that people who are isolated and lonely should seek sociability and love wherever they think they can find it. It is only when the parasocial relationship becomes a substitute for autonomous social participation, when it proceeds in absolute defiance of objective reality, that it can be regarded as pathological. Horton and Wohl, 1956, p. 223, emphasis added. Disconnected context, Nazuma's 2009, Framework of Analysis, the romantic and sexual feelings that the otaku have toward fictional characters, i.e., potential fictophilia, can be associated with addictions that are developed over time when consuming behaviors, or Frontiers in Psychology, www. Fronterson, or prolonged discourse of parasocial romantic sexual relationships and the discussion of otaku sexuality represent two culturally ranging contexts. In the disconnected context, 9 January 2021, Volume 11, Article 575,427, Karhulahti and Välisalo, Fictosexuality, Fictoromance, and Fictophilia. Fictophilia is a phenomenon triggered by the emergence and proliferation of ontologically separate fictional characters, and although fictophilic behavior is considered a natural means for individuals to react and adapt, it may also turn pathological by disrupting the individual's objective conception of reality. The connected context, in turn, maintains the ontological separation. It does not distinguish the emotions and sociality related to fictional characters from objective reality. Rather, it considers them a part thereof, which makes fictophilia an orientation like the other. In the connected context, fictophilic relationships are not considered substitutes, but genuine attachments that some people have learned to cultivate. While they do not in any way confuse fiction with reality, they are uninterested in setting fiction and reality up against each other. This means not just falling in love and losing oneself in the world of a single work, but somehow staying sober while still indulging one's feverish enthusiasm. What is it about this impossible object that I cannot even touch that could possibly attract me? This sort of question reverberates in the back of the otaku's mind, a kind of analytic perspective on his or her own sexuality yields not an answer to this question, but a determination of the fictionality and the communal nature of sex itself. Sex is broken down within the framework of fiction and then put back together again. pp. 24-27. We may recall here those online discussions that dealt openly with questions of naturality or normality related to fictophilia, i.e., whether longitudinal romantic sexual emotions and feelings projected on fictional characters should be considered abnormal, unnatural, or even unhealthy. It's just so weird to me, and I don't think this is normal. From Sato's viewpoint, such concerns for naturality or normality in fictophilia and the emotions and feelings involved may be calibrated as follows. How does the individual understand real ID? And where is their object of attachment, fictional character, located within that understanding? Sato's perspective forms an integrated context within which ontological distinctions are considered irrelevant in total. If an individual understands their fictophilic orientation as a prolonged, unsuccessful attempt to build a bridge between two ontologies, fiction and reality, this surfaces as a problem, specifically due to their flawed binary between fiction and reality. If, on the other hand, the individual has learned to acknowledge the specific nature of their parasocial relationship, being aware of the character's function as a cultural product, and yet readily expressing emotions and feelings for it, it can well live with the situation soberly, to use Sato's word, without experiencing it problematic. The disconnected, connected, and integrated contexts of romantic and sexual engagement with fiction provide an abstract of the ongoing cross-cultural discussions of fictophilia. Contexts exemplify how fictophilia, both as an emerging psychological concept and a popular catchword, advances and expands the preceding lineage of discourses in both academic and non-academic domains across cultures. Integrated context, connected and disconnected contexts can be accompanied. A third one, deriving from Sato's long-term psychological work. Sato, 2010, argues that fictional characters should not be treated ontologically distinct to begin with, and individuals' romantic and sexual feelings toward them are merely a proof of their material significance. We are more sensitive than we have ever been to the way fiction works. We know very well that our awareness is always limited, that it is nothing more than an image constructed according to the logic of our nervous system and the organization of our psyche. With this understanding, we can conclude many times over that everything is fiction and nothing more. Yet it is sex that keeps persisting to the end. The fictionalization and relativization brought on by the fantasies of an informationalized society. Sexuality has never been portrayed as a complete fiction, and it is unlikely that it ever will be. The moment we desire a character, reality intrudes. P. 171. Be clear, Sato does not claim that fictional characters and organic human beings are one and the same ontological thing, but rather dovetailing the Western anthropological theories of fiction response, according to which the notion of fiction is integrated to human perception. E. G. Iser, 1993, considers ontological distinctions unproductive and thus treats fictional characters as concrete objects of attachment. That said, its position also involves an explicit Freudian argument for sexuality's exceptional role in human functioning. Although the contemporary individual tends to engage with fictions of various sorts daily, it is first and foremost the romantically or sexually potent types of fiction that make the individual become aware of their genuine emotions and feelings toward them. Hearing Azuma's argument on the otaku being inclined to acquire distinct needs or orientations, Sato conceives of the otaku as an exclusively developed individual, not normatively, who, due to their particular experiences of mediated culture, have come to cognize fiction and the characters thereof by specific means. The otaku, Sato argues, are in fact more conscious and analytical of the nature of their potential romantic sexual emotions or feelings than those who problematize them. This analytical consciousness allows the otaku to cope with their fiction-related emotions and feelings in elegant ways that may be difficult to grasp from the outside. Frontiers in Psychology, www. Frontierson, or conclusion, based on a qualitative analysis of 71 public online discussions. This study carried out an explorative conceptualization of what has come to be referred as Fictosexuality, Fictoromance, or Fictophilia, generally described as a strong and lasting feeling of love or desire toward a fictional character. The phenomenon surfaced as a psychologically and socially relevant reflection of the evolution that human cultures and sexualities are going through. Ultimately, 5 key themes surfaced from data: fictophilic paradox, fictophilic stigma, fictophilic behaviors, fictophilic asexuality, and fictophilic supernormal stimuli. Since the present study was explorative, more empirical, in January 2021. Volume 11, Article 575,427, Karhulahti and Välisalo, Fictosexuality, Fictoromance, and Fictophilia. Theoretical research is needed to build a better understanding of the Fictophilia phenomenon and its position in diverse cultural contexts, specifically the aspects that possibly separate Fictophilia from romantic and sexual parasocial relationships that individuals establish with celebrities and other untainable peers should be studied in more detail. Likewise, the potential functions of Fictophilia in human sexual development call for explicit research. Author contributions: BMK initiated the research, gathered the research data, and wrote the first draft of the manuscript. BMK and TV did qualitative data analysis for the whole data, respectively. TV did descriptive statistics for the purposes of describing the data and wrote sections of the manuscript. Both authors contributed to manuscript revision, read, and approved the submitted version. Data availability statement. Funding. Data supporting the conclusions of this article will be made available by the authors without undue reservation. This research was supported by the Academy of Finland Projects, Center of Excellence in Game Culture Studies, COE Game Cult 312,397, and Sexuality and Play in Media Culture, SAP 309,382. Ethics Statement. Ethical review and approval was not required in accordance with the local legislation and institutional requirements. Written, informed consent for participation was not required for this study in accordance with the national legislation and the institutional requirements. Acknowledgements. References: Erickson S. and Sin S. 2017. Romantic parasocial attachments and the development of romantic scripts, schemas, and beliefs among adolescents. Media Cycle 21, 111, 136, 10, 108152, 13269, 2017. 1,305,281. Erickson S., Harrison K., and Sin S. 2018. Toward a multidimensional model of adolescent romantic parasocial attachment. Commune. Theory 28, 376, 399. doi 10, 1093, /CT/QTX006. Guinea J.A. and Noller, P. 1990. Attachment style as a predictor of adult romantic relationships. J. Pers, Soch, Cycle 58, 281. doi 10, 103722, 3514, 58, 281. Ferguson, C.J. Nielsen, R.K. and Markey, P.M. 2017. A sexy media promote. Teen Sex, a meta-analytic and methodological review. Psychiater, Q88, 349, 358. doi 10, 1007, S111260, 1694, 422. Galbraith, P. 2015. Otaku Sexuality in Japan. In Routledge Handbook of Sexuality, Studies in East Asia, eds. M. McClelland and V. Mackey, New York, N.Y., Routledge, 205-217. Giles, D.C., 2002. Parasocial Interaction, a review of the literature and a model for future research. Media Cycle 4, 279-305. doi 10, 1207 S1532 785 XMEP 04 304 Rainwood D. End and Long CR 2011. Attachment, belongingness, needs, and relationship status. Predict imagined intimacy with media. Figures, commune. Race 38, 278, 297. doi 10 1177 0093650 2103 62687. Win DT and Rents DCF 1983. Beetles on the bottle. Male bupperstids. Stake stubbies for females. Coleoptera. Ost J and Tommel 22 7980. doi 10 1111 J 1440 60 55 1983. EB 01846. X Hazen C and Shaver P 1987. Romantic love conceptualized as an attachment. Process J Pers Soch Cycle 52 511 524. doi 10 1037 22 35 14 52 3 511. Hoffner C 1996. Children's wishful identification and parasocial interaction with favorite television characters. J Broadcast Electron Media 40 389 402. doi 10 1080 883 815960 9364360. Horn J and Kanyan E 2003. Perceiving and experiencing fictional characters. An integrative account. App Cycle. Race 45 250 268. doi 10 1111 1468 58 84 225. Horton D and Wohl R 1956. Mass communication and parasocial interaction. Observations on intimacy at a distance. Psychiatry 19 215 229. doi 10 1080 330 2747 1956. 11,023,049. IME and G W 2006. An online forum as a qualitative research method. Practical issues. NERS. Raise 55 267 273. doi 10 1097 0 6 19920 060 700000007. Draft of this article was first presented in Shanghai at Crossroads Conference. We thank Caroline Bem, Susanna Osanen, and Maria Garda for their valuable feedback. Arseth, E. 2007. Doors and Perception. Fiction versus Simulation in Games. Intermedialities 9, 3544, 10, 7202 / 1,005,528. R. Adam A. and Sizemore, B. 2013. Parasocial Romance. A Social Exchange. Perspective. Interpersona 7, 1225. doi 105964/APER. VI 106. Allen L. and Ingram T. 2015. Bieber Fever. Girls' Desire and the Negotiation of Girlhood Sexualities in Children, Sexuality and Sexualization. Eds J. Ringrose, E. Renauld, and R. D. Egan, London. Kilgrave Macmillan, 140-158. doi 10 1057 9,780 1,130 7,353,399. Butter P. Palmgreen P. 2000. Development and Validation of a Parasocial Interaction Measure. The Audience Persona Interaction Scale. Commune. Raise. Rep 17 7989. doi 10 1080 882 409 00093 88753. Suma H. 2009. Japan's Database Animals Trans. J. E. Abel and S. Kono. Anipalism, M.N. University of Minnesota Press. Bolstorff, T. 2016. For Whom the Ontology Turns, Theorizing the Digital Real. Kerr, Anthropol. 57, 387 407. doi, n. 1086, x87362. Augert, A. 2012. Asexuality and Autocore Sexualism. Identityless. Sexuality, Arch, Sex, Behave. 4, 1513. 1514. doi, 101007, S10, 5080, 129, 963-1. Ron V. and Clark, V. 2006, Using Thematic Analysis in Psychology. Qual. Rays, Cycle. 3, 77-101. doi, 10, 1178,1,478,088,706. QP 063 OA. Retherton I. 1992. The Origins of Attachment Theory. John Bowlby and Mary. Ainsworth, Dev. Cycle. 28, 759. doi, 10, 1030 712 1649. 28, 5759. Brown, J. D. Halpern, C. T. and Ellingle. K. L. 2005. Mass Media as a Sexual Super. Gear for Early Maturing Girls. J. Adelesk, L. 36, 420, 427. doi, 101016. J. Jadohealth, 2004. 6, 3. doi, J. 1984. Imaginary Social Worlds, A Cultural Approach. Lincoln, N.E. University of Nebraska Press. Owen, J. 2004. Parasocial Breakup from Favorite Television Figures. The Role of Attachment Styles and Relationship Intensity. J. Soch, Pers, Relat. 21, 187 202. doi, 10, 1177. 026540 750404 1374. AVC Scafano F. Coriza, O. DeLuca P. and Psychonaut Web Mapping. Group 2012. Psychonauts. Conducting Research in Online Drug Forum Communities. J. Ment. Health 21, 386 394. doi, 10, 31090963 8237. 2012, 68, 2265. Double J. Hartman T. and Rossing, S. 2016. Parasocial Interaction and Parasocial Relationship. Conceptual Clarification and a Critical Assessment of Measures. Commune. Race 42, 2144. doi, 10, 1111/HGRE. 12063. Frontiers in Psychology. www. Fronterson. Work 11, January 2021. Volume 11. Article 575,427. Karhulahti and Välisalo. Fictosexuality, Fictoromance, and Fictophilia. Iser W. 1993. Fictive and the Imaginary. Charting Literary Anthropology. Baltimore, Johns Hopkins University Press. Karhulahti, V. 2012. Suspending Virtual Disbelief. Perspective on Narrative. Coherence in Interactive Digital Storytelling. Eds D. Orson, F. Penato, R. M. Young, A. Elizalde, and G. Mendes. Berlin, Springer 117. doi, 10, 1007. 9783 6 42 3 485 181. Karhulahti, V. Sarenma, L. and Brown, A. 2019. Sexuality and Play. Introduction. Turku, Whiter Screen. Carnial, R. 2001. Adolescent Females. Idolization of Male Media Stars as a Transition into Sexuality. Sex Roles 44. 6177. doi, 10, 1023, A. 1,011,030,7,900,554. Kennedy N. McDonough M. Kelly B. and Barrios G. 2002. Erotomania. Revisited. Clinical Course and Treatment. Comper. Psychiatry 4316. doi 101053 comp. 2002. 29,856. Buchanan K. and Karhulahti M. 2014. Introduction. What is the second generation? Style 48, 261, 274. doi 105325 style 48, 4637. Zmyva A. 2012. Presence in the reading of literary narrative. A case for motor enactment. Semiotica 2012, 2348. doi 101515 semi 2011. 71. MRT 2009. Anime Machine. Minneapolis MN. University of Minnesota Press. Lee D.H. 2008. Popular Cultural Capital and Cultural Identity. Young Korean. Women's Cultural Appropriation of Japanese TV Dramas in East Asian Pop Culture, Analyzing the Korean Wave. Eds C.B. Hewitt and K. Uebuchi. Hong Kong University Press. 157-172. doi 10-5790 /Hong Kong /9,789,622,090 8,923. 3. 9. Liebers N. and Schramm H. 2017. Friends in Books. The Influence of Character, Attributes, and the Reading Experience on Parasocial Relationships and Romances. Poetics 65, 1223. doi 10-16 J. Poetic, 2017. 10. 1. Livingston P. and Socelli, A. 2011. Philosophical Perspectives on Fictional Characters, New Lit. Hist. 42, 337-360. doi 10-1353 /NLH. 2011. 16. Addison T. and Porter, L. 2016. Cognitive and Imagery Attributes of Parasocial Relationships. Imagine. On. Pers. 35, 359-379. doi 10-117702-762-36615599-340. Alpy J. McCutcheon, Ellie, Ash D.D. and Auren, J. 2001. The Self-Reported Psychological Well-Being of Celebrity Worshippers. N.A.M. J. Cycle. 3, 441-452. McCutcheon, L.E. Ash D.D. Auren J. and Malpy, J. 2003. A Cognitive Profile of Individuals Who Tend to Worship Celebrities. J. Cycle. 137, 309-322. doi 10-8002-239, 80309, 600616. Kata T. 1996. Adakugaku Newman. Tako Adashuppen. Osborne J. L. 2012. When TV and Marriage Meet. A Social Exchange Analysis of the Impact of Television Viewing on Marital Satisfaction. Mass Commune. Soc 15, 739-757. doi 10-8152-0-5436. 2011. 618,900. Except J. and Bivan, L. 2012. The Archaeology of Mind. Neuroevolutionary Origins of Human Emotions. New York, N.Y. Norton and Company. Pellegrini, A. 2009. The Role of Play in Human Development. Oxford, University Press. doi 10-1093/Ecprof. OSO /9,780,195,367,000 324. 1. Agate, J. 1951, 2013. Play, Dreams, and Imitation in Childhood. Trans Sika Techno. Def Hudson. Abingdon, Routledge. doi. 10. 432497 813 1500 9698. Our P. 2008. Character Animation and the Embodied Mind Brain. Animation. 32548. doi. 10. 1177 1746 847 7080 88734. Roz N. Graham, C.A. 2007. Asexuality, Classification and Characterization. Arch, Sex, Behave. 36 341 356. doi. 10. 1007. S1050 8006 9142 3. Prescott J. Rathbone, A.L. and Hanley, T. 2020. Online Mental Health Communities, Self-Efficacy and Transition to Further Support. Ment. Health Rev J 25 329 344. doi. 10. 1108 MHRJ 1220 190048. Thedo T. 2010. Beautiful Fighting Girl Trans. J. Keith Vincent and Dawn Lawson. Minneapolis, MN. University of Minnesota Press. Schmid, H. and Klimt, C. 2011. A Magically Nice Guy. Parasocial Relationships with Harry Potter Across Different Cultures. Int. Commune Gaz. 73. 252 269. 10. 1177 17480 48510 393658. Frontiers in Psychology. www.frontiersin.org. Troy C. Plant, C. Racine, S. Roberts, S. and Gerbasi, K. 2016. Different motivations as predictors of psychological connection to fan interest and fan groups in anime, furry, and fantasy sport fandoms. Phoenix Papers 2, 140, 8167. Shamoun, D. 2012. Passionate Friendship. The Aesthetics of Girls' Culture in Japan. Honolulu Ha, University of Hawaii Press. doi. 10. 21313. Hawaii. 9,780,824,830. 5,422. 1. Jim YH 2001. Feminism and the Discourse of Sexuality in Korea. Continuities. Changes. Hum. Stud 24, 133 148. doi. 10. 1023. A. 1,010,775,330. 2,420. Song W. and Fox, J. 2016. Playing for Love in a Romantic Video Game. Avatar. Identification, Parasocial Relationships, and Chinese Women's Romantic Beliefs. Mass Commune. Soch. 19. 197 215. doi. 10. and 81520 5436. 2015. 1,077,972. Dever G. 2017. Evolutionary Theory and Reactions to Mass Media. Understanding Parasocial Attachment. Cycle, Pop, Media Cult. 695-102. doi. 101037. EPM 0000116. Dulhofer A. Bushko V. and Landripet. I 2010. Pornography, Sexual, Socialization, and Satisfaction Among Young Men. Arch, Sex, Behave. 39 168 178. doi. 10 1007. S1050 800 893 870. Sid M. and Nelson S. 2015. Guidelines for Establishing Reliability when Coding. Narrative Data. Merge. Adulthood 3. 375 387. doi. 1177-2 167696815587648. Thurin S. A. Newberg, E.M. and Gleason, T.R. 2010. Adolescent Girls, Parasocial Interactions with Media Figures. J. Jennett, Cycle 171, 270-277. doi 10 and 8000 221325. 2010. 480-3700. Reet, J. 1993. Yashimoto Banana Writes Home. JoJo Culture and the Nostalgic. Subject, J. Jap. Stud 19, 353-387. doi 10 2307132644. Kaczynski, R. Doros, S. 2018. Parasocial Romantic Relationships, Romantic Beliefs, and Relationship Outcomes in USA Adolescence. Rehearsing Love, for Setting Oneself Up to Fail. J. Child, Media 12, 329-345. doi 10 10817482-798. 2018. 1,463,917. Kaczynski, R.H. 2011. Pararomantic Love and Parafriendships. Development and Assessment of a Multiple Parasocial Relationship Scale. A.M. J. Media, Cycle 3, 7394. Tuval-Mashiach, R. Walsh, S. Harrell, S. and Shulman, S. 2008. Romantic Fantasies, Cross-Gender Friendships, and Romantic Experiences in Adolescence. J. Adolesque, Race 23, 471-487. doi 10 1177 0 743-55840 73-11332. Aris E. 2019. The Monster Analogy. Why Fictional Characters Are Frankenstein S. Monsters, Substance 48, 6386. Vygotsky, L. 1933-1978. The Role of Play in Development, in Mind in Society, ed. M. Cole, Cambridge, M.A., Harvard University Press, 92-104. Ward, L.M., Day, K.M., and Epstein, M. 2006. Uncommonly Good, Exploring How Mass Media May Be a Positive Influence on Young Women's Sexual Health and Development, New Dyer, Child Adolesque, Dev, 112-5770, doi 101002/CD, 162, Yule M.A. Brado, L.A. and Gorzalka, B.B. 2017. Sexual Fantasy and Masturbation Among Asexual Individuals, an in-depth exploration. Arch, Sex, Have, 46, 311-328, doi 101007, S105080-16878. Dang Q and Feng, A. 2017. Fan Economy and Consumption, Fandom of Korean Music Bands in China, in the Korean Wave, Evolution, Fandom, and Transnationality. Eds T.J. Yoon and D.J. Jin Lanham, Lexington Books, 129-144. Conflict of Interest. The authors declare that the research was conducted in the absence of any commercial or financial relationships that could be construed as a potential conflict of interest. Copyright 2021, Karhulahti and Välisalo. This is an open access article distributed under the terms of the Creative Commons Attribution License, CC BY. Use, distribution, or reproduction in other forums is permitted, provided the original author S and the copyright owner S are credited, and that the original publication in this journal is cited in accordance with accepted academic practice. No use, distribution, or reproduction is permitted which does not comply with these terms. 12 January 2021. Volume 11, Article 570.